Well, it's bringing political analyst Thobani Zikalala to unpack the DA's decision to appoint Chris Pappas as Premier candidate in KwaZulu-Natal ahead of the 2024 general elections. Thobani, good afternoon. Welcome to the SABC. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Lisa. Good afternoon to your viewers.
Thobani, at this point, perhaps you could paint us a picture of the DA's footprint in KZN.
I think, of course, the DA, as Pappas says, has been viewed as a Western Cape party. But I think in the past elections, it has shown growth. If you look at the past elections, the DA has been able to grow up to be the third largest political party in the province. Of course, its footprint is much more in suburban areas. It doesn't have much of a stronghold in rural KZN, which is very interesting, which then makes it interesting when the DA then selects Christopher Pappas as its premier candidate, because then again, it seems as if the DA has gone back to the Helen Zille Altol Trolley type of experiment of the white guy who can speak the vernacular languages to be able to appeal to the general community of the province. Because it's in the past, I think the DA has not been able to break that barrier. But it does not, for me, it's an experiment that the DA has tried and has not really succeeded, especially in the provinces like the Eastern Cape and the Western Cape. So for me, it's that issue. The DA is still a suburban party in the province. Much more of its influence is in suburban areas and in urban areas like your Ethekwini municipality and others. Doesn't have much of a footprint in rural KZN. And we all know that in KwaZulu-Natal, there are parties like your IFP who have much of a stronghold in those provinces, in those parts of areas. But another person could say, with 40% of KZN's population being in urban Ethekwini, it then bodes well for a party that can control, it can be able to influence that. But again, even in urban areas, the DA doesn't have much control of the so-called township, peri-urban areas. For me, its footprint is very weak. I do not see how the DA will be able to break above 20%. Of course, there's been a steady growth, but I think the DA is almost with its politics, because again, KwaZulu-Natal being a very conservative province, it has reached almost its ceiling. I can't see it above 20%, and that becomes very difficult. Another interesting fact is, how then does its working relationship or cooperation with the IFP then work? Because the idea is the cooperation that entered to was there to say that the IFP the DA will step back in areas where the IFP is stronger. And clearly we all know in history that IFP has its stronghold in KwaZulu-Natal. So it's again another interesting snack in its working cooperation.
Thobani, thank you for those sentiments, because we're trying to assess, given the dynamics in KwaZulu-Natal, how best he's suited for premier level. Perhaps as we edge closer to election, contesting against the ANC and the IFP, perhaps also as we also look at these strongholds in the suburban areas versus rural KZN. Perhaps we could then look at how impactful he has been as mayor of the Umgeni local municipality, and if that warrants any success at premier level.
I think, of course, we cannot take away that Christopher Pappas, I think he became one of the most famous mayors in the past 2-3 years that he has been in government. Of course, he has been one politician or mayor in the province who has been able to use his political communications team effectively to be able to highlight the successes of Umgeni municipality. That bodes well, because then he becomes one of the most popular and known politicians in the province. Of course, choosing someone like Christopher Pappas to be your face of your campaign is a strategic move by the DA, which we cannot turn a blind eye on. My issue is KwaZulu-Natal seems to be very conservative. The changing of the vote in KwaZulu-Natal is not something that happens easily. Of course, this bodes well for a DA when someone as young, as vibrant as Christopher Pappas, who speaks the language of the people in the province, who has been able to to highlight his successes and his turnaround strategies in Umgeni municipality. It's put the DA the DA has almost, I could say, put its best foot forward. If it didn't choose Christopher Pappas as its candidate, I don't know who else it could have chosen.
Thobani, speaking about KwaZulu-Natal being a conservative province, earlier on, Christopher Pappas also highlighted the importance of incorporating a new generation for a better future in our 30-year democracy. Given the timing of all of this, the new ideas that had been put forth, do you think this is also enough to woo the voters?
I think I would go back to this, Lizelle, that the problem in South Africa and in KwaZulu-Natal is that being a conservative province means the changing of the vote is going to be very difficult. And a province like KwaZulu-Natal, issues of age, ethnicity and others also play another role in how one does politically. We have seen it over the years, and it doesn't seem as something is going to change because the province is very conservative. But I'm saying it's very good for the DA to get a 32-year-old, young, vibrant, which seems to have some good ideas on his shoulders. He's been able to do proper political communication to make sure that his profile grows. In that way, it really is time for the next generation, the next layer in political leadership in this country to be able to emerge. And it's good for the DA that the DA took that step in a very politically contested and conservative province like KwaZulu-Natal. It's a strategic move that could give the DA the much needed success to be able at least to be part of a coalition post 2024.
Well, Thobani, let me wrap up the conversation. Given the expectations at hand, perhaps also looking at the role that he will have to play, or even the proposed role on a political, economic and social front, given the issues plaguing the province at large, whether it's hunger in schools, the aftermath of floods, the aftermath of the looting, political killings, service delivery at large. What's coming to the fore on that front in terms of capacity versus expectations?
I think on capacity, if you look at what he has done around Umgeni municipality, we cannot deny it. We cannot take it away. He's been able to turn around the municipality, has been able to make sure that the municipality is able to move towards clean audits, right? And my worry is that I do not see him as a very strong figure that could be able to pull together the province, because what is needed at the head of the province of KwaZulu-Natal is someone who's been able to pull the province together and be able to play as a figurehead. He's been able to do it in a smaller municipality like Umgeni municipality. I think with that capacity, of course, it bodes well. It says to us there is something in him that can be seen, that can be used. But I do not think that at this time he may have some of the qualities that we have been lacking. But one thing that I think he has been trying to do is to push the idea of transparency in terms of how things are done, to push the idea of making sure that turnaround, as he has done in the municipality, making sure that the right things are being procured, the right money is being spent in the right places, because that's maybe what has made him so popular, because people are seeing him at work every day. I think, of course, we'll have to wait and see, because we'll start becoming fortune tellers in terms of what is going to happen in the province.
Absolutely.
But he may be someone that will play a very big role, that can play a very big role in making sure that we solve the socio-political challenges of the province come 2024.
No, absolutely. At this point, we're obviously rubbing the imaginary crystal ball. Does this decision at large serve to unite and strengthen the DA at large?
Of course. Christopher Pappas, I think at some time, we were told that he had intended to contest the provincial congress as a DA leader. Of course, we now know that he was then persuaded that he should focus on Umgeni municipality because there is a bigger picture for him. I think that becomes the bigger picture. It also allows the DA to deploy someone in government without burdening them with the responsibility of leading the party. Because we all know the provincial leader, Francois Rogers, is the one leading the organization. It then gives the deployee who would be deployed in government space to be able to do and focus on government without having the responsibility to to lead the party. Of course, if the news coming out of the Provincial Congress were anything to go by, he was the uniting figure in terms of who must become the premier candidate. And I do not see the DA fracturing apart because he has been appointed. I think it will do much better because he's much more popular within the DA membership. He's much more popular in the province. He's the most popular DA leader in the province. It bodes well for him to be the one who is the face of the campaign.
Well, Thobani, the chess moves are being played as we edge closer to the 2024 elections. We'll leave the conversation there for now. Thank you for your time with us here on the SABC. Political Analyst Thobani Zikalala unpacking the DA's decision to appoint Chris Pappas as the premier candidate in KwaZulu-Natal ahead of the 2024 general elections.